Okay, we're going to do a video today to show how to upgrade the steering wheel on a Suzuki Swift to this sport type. Now the steering wheel's on upside down, but the standard wheel doesn't have, it has a sort of uniform contour around the outside, where this one, if I come into the light, you can see we've got the perforated sport grip. It's a nicer steering wheel, so this is off the Suzuki Swift Sport. So obviously you've got to remove the airbag to do this. So the first thing we need to do when working with airbags is disconnect the battery. So you need a 10mm spanner, disconnect the negative terminal there, give him a couple of turns, and then he should pull off then. Give it a wiggle sideways. That's it. Right, now you want to tuck that well out the way, Kate, so it doesn't find its way back onto the terminal when we're in the middle of removing the airbag. Okay. So that's the battery. Now you are supposed to leave it about 5 minutes, so go and have a cup of tea and come back, because there could be residual charge stored in capacitors in the circuit, so it's better to let all the charge dissipate. Right, the next part of the operation, so if we get the steering wheel, right then Kate, do you want to get that steering wheel there? And we can show everyone how this works. So there is basically, the airbag is held in with these 2 bolts at the side here. So about the 4 o'clock and 8 o'clock positions, and then on the side you'll see there we've got a, if I get the light right, there's a Torx. So it's a Torx T, what did we go for? Torx T30, I seem to recall. Let's have a look. Yeah, it's a Torx T30 here. So we're going to go into the car now and have a go at removing these bolts. So on the sides there you'll see you've got the, right, do you want to grab the torch from the workshop there? Might make it a bit, right, I'll have a, okay. Right, and that's it, yeah, grab that one. I'll put that steering wheel down and we'll remove this one. Alright, okay, so here we go. Alright, so yeah, find locate the Torx. It's a bit of a strange angle because of the way it locates onto the airbag. Yeah, so you've got to look at the angle, and that's it. Right, and get that located in. That's it. That's coming out. It's quite a long thread on it. Okay, now it won't actually, the bolt I don't think will come out. It stays in, because you saw on the steering wheel that we're going to fit, the bolts were still fitted there. So then I'm going to do the other one over this side. So it might be a bit dark for the video, but again, yeah. Okay, so we've got that located. And more than that, once you've got it loose, you can probably take your ratchet off there. Okay, so we've loosened the airbag, but it's still sort of rocking about the middle. And the problem we've worked out, is we've actually put the steering wheel the right way up now, so that the bolts are sort of angling down, so gravity can help them. And what you need to do is, if we look in here at the bolts here at the side, let me get this engaged, is as you unscrew it, let me rest the light there, is they come out so far, but you've got this unthreaded portion at the end. So what you need to sort of do is sort of pull, as you pull on the Torx bit, to try and spin it and pull it out and pull it back so it's out the way. It's tricky to demonstrate, but you sort of need to pull it out like this so it's flush. So what we did on the car, we've just done it now, move that, is as you're turning, sort of just try and tease it back a little bit, tease the bolt back a little bit, and once you've got one of them, so as you're doing, put a little bit of sideways force on it and pull it out, and then what will happen is it will just come out. So okay, so if we carefully look what we've got here, so we've looked here now and we can see that the bolts here at the side, if you can see, they were out, and they were screwing into the airbag, into those bolts on the side there, okay, into these captive nuts. Now what we've got here is we've got 2 connectors that we've got to disconnect carefully. Now Airbags are explosive devices, so do be very careful when working with them. Okay, so this is the earth. Okay, so remove that, just wiggle that one, and he should come out. Bit of a wiggle, maybe not. Right, he'll come. Okay, he's coming. Okay, so that's that one, but it takes a bit of a wiggle. Right, and then we've got the main airbag connector. Okay, so what we've got now is we've got this little yellow plug in the top of the airbag connector, and that's the sort of lock. So we've got a small flat blade screwdriver, and what we've got to do is sort of lever up. There we go, like that, and that releases the lock. So you see that yellow bit there has come up, and that should now enable us to remove that connector there from the airbag. Okay, so right, one thing you want to do is take note which way the connector goes. So this is the top of the airbag here, and this is the spoke going down to the bottom, and the connector wants to point downwards, going down towards this bottom. So let me just take that out, and we'll have a look at it in the light a bit more there. So the connector wants to go from here, pointing down towards the bottom. Okay, so we put that back. Right, now the airbag is an explosive device. Put it well out the way, because in theory, it could go off. Certainly don't drop it, and don't let children play with it. Put it safely out the way. Okay, so we're going to put that out the way there. Okay, right, back to the steering wheel removal. So we should now have all the... right, we've got a connector to remove in here, which connects round to our steering wheel buttons, which you may or may not have, depending on the spec of your vehicle. And what we need to try and do is just, it looks like we need to just push that tab up in the middle there, and then remove this white connector. Okay, now note how it's routed. It's routed up round the top of the steering wheel through that little switch there, but at least we can worry about that later, because that's disconnected now. And now what we need to do is remove that central nut. So we're going to get some tools and remove that. So we've got a 17mm socket. If Kate zooms back a bit, you better see we've got just a extension on there, and if I can hold the torch and do this. So normally they're fairly tight. The steering lock's clicked in, but you don't want to put all the force on the steering lock, because it's not good. You want to support it with one of your hands or your knees. Okay, that. Okay, and that's it gone there. Okay, so yeah, react it with one hand. Obviously I'm holding a torch so you can see a bit better. Okay, now one thing you need to do now is, before you remove this from the spline, the steering lock's locked in. We'll get a bit of masking tape, and we're going to mark the location so we get the steering wheel exactly back in the same place as we've taken it off. So we're going to grab some tape and do that. What we're going to do is we're going to knock a couple of bits of masking tape. We're going to put one on the fixed part of the cowling, and one on the steering wheel. Now we are going to put a different steering wheel on here. If you're putting this sort of works if you're putting the same steering wheel on, but what we'll try and do, because we're going to put a different one on, is we're going to mark the center. So if we look at it, let me move the light. So if we look at it straight on, and we're going to try and mark exactly where the middle of the steering wheel is, in the line from this line up through the middle to there, and then I'm going to mark on the back one there. So we've got the two. Can you see from on top there? Is that clear in the video, Kate? So we're going to put that there. Okay, so at least when we put a steering wheel back on, we've got the best chance possible of getting it right. So we're going to spin off the central nut now. Okay, so it's a flanged nut. Okay, put that to one side. Okay, now it's a question of grabbing the steering wheel and just, we've got to pull it towards us, but often it gets stuck on the spline, so you need to give it a bit of a bang to try and loosen it. Right, okay, now let me see if I can pull that off now. There we go. Okay, so that wasn't too bad. They can be quite tight sometimes, but give them a bit of a knock. So there we go. We'll come out in the light. So let's see what we've got. So we've got the steering wheel off there. We've got the wire connected that goes round to the switches still, and if you're going to refit it, you've got your line marked. So we're now going to just check that that's the same. Let's grab that sport steering wheel and let's have a look with that stuff. Okay, so let's just check we've got. So there's the two side by side. You can see the difference. The sport one's got this extra bit down the bottom, and the grips are different. We've got the same steering wheel controls. Let's just check the connectors the same. So we've got the earth connector. We've got the same configuration. We've got the blue and the yellow wire going into the same pins. Yeah, so we're pretty happy that that's a straight swap. Everything else looks the same. So let's grab a swap. Go back inside. Okay, right then. Right, and then what we're going to do here is try and put this back on. Push the airbag connector back up through, and then, okay, this slip ring, you can move that about. Right, and we need to try and line up what was the central position, so it was off slightly to the left, so that looks pretty good to me. Okay, so with that then in that position, it's a question of putting that nut back on. Okay, so spin that all the way on. Right, again, we've still got the steering lock activated, but we need to tighten this up. Now, you do really need to do this pretty tight, because obviously you don't want your steering wheel coming loose. So again, hold the steering wheel with one hand to react some of the force. Okay, and get that when you're happy that that's tight enough. We now need to connect the connector for the switches back in, and that should click into place. Okay, that's right. Okay, now we've got the two connectors left for the airbag. Right there. So the airbag connector was pointing down. Okay, so the lead's not very long, so we can't. Right, so when that's clicked in, you then need to push the yellow center section back into place. Right, and then we need to reconnect. It's going to be tricky to see on the video, I think. Okay, let's reconnect the earth pin on the bottom there. Okay, and make sure that's all in. Now when you reposition the airbag, you need to be careful that you don't get any wires trapped, particularly where we've got the screws coming out. So we've got the screw here and the screw here. So we need to make sure that as it goes back into place, we've got nothing getting trapped in, okay? And when that's back into place, we need to get our Torx screw going back in from the side. Yeah. Again, we've got to. It's at a slightly strange angle, so we've got to find. There we go. And then. Right, you feel that go tight. Now I'm not going to get the socket on that one. I'm then going to do the one on the other side. Okay, so we've done the one side. Let's get the other side. So you'll turn it. Sometimes you've got to give the airbag a bit of a wiggle just to get that to engage. Okay, and then you'll feel it go tight. When you've got them both tight, and you know it's engaged, put the driver on. Okay, and nip those up. Again, you don't want those coming loose really, so just make sure you've got them reasonably tight. That's one. There we go. Right, that's it. Okay, so that's the steering wheel all fitted. Take a bit of tape off the back, reconnect the battery, and then we'll just give you a little demo and check all the functions are working. Okay, so reconnect the battery time. So you might get a little bit of a spark when it goes back on. Push it on firmly, and then nip that little 10mm nut up again. Other way. Oh. Oh, one more. That's it. Right, so we've got the battery reconnected. Right, now it's time to check everything's fine. Are we going to sit in, or should we do it from the side? Right, we'll do it from the side. Okay, right then. So we got the steering lock. Do you want to just lean on the steering wheel, Kate, just to take the force off the... That's it, that's it. Okay, right, yeah, so we're all good. So we'll wait for the airbag light to clear. Okay, we've lost the radio, so we've got to retune the radio in. But yeah, they've got the seatbelt restraint system light on. But the airbag, right, let's just start them up, turn the radio down. Okay, let's just check everything, all the faults clear. There we go, yeah, we just got the handbrake on. We got the seatbelt warning light on. Put my seatbelt on. Okay, yeah, all the faults clear. So put the steering wheel straight, check your wheels are nominally straight. The wheels are nominally straight, yeah. And that's the job done. That's the, I forgot the wind. Yeah, do you want to do the video, Kate? Just the final steering wheel all fitted. So that's the sports steering wheel fitted onto a Suzuki Swift. Okay, so we'll just do a little end bit on the video here, just to show you if you've got your switch packs, if you've got a new steering wheel, you didn't have your switch packs, how to remove that. So you've got these two screws at the top here. I've undone them a little bit already. I've cheated. Okay, so they're a sort of self-tapping screw like so. Okay, whip those up, and then what you can do is that releases the bag, and if you look at the bottom here, you can see you've got these two little bits here, and if we release those two off the bottom of the steering wheel, that's one. There we go. Okay, then we can remove the cowl off the steering wheel, and then if we unclip the wire from inside, there's a little clip there clipping the wire in. The wire is clipped in that little clip there. Okay, that removes the plastic, and then we're stripping the steering wheel down to the basics now. And then hidden on the back, there's two more screws. Okay, if I can get them in there. Okay, and then if we unscrew those, you can see the switch pack falling off the front net. Okay, so that's the one. Well, that's not the switch pack, that's the passive one there. Okay, and then I'll hold it this time. This is the one that matters more. Okay. Right then. Again, that's another of those little screws, and that allows us then to remove the switch pack. So then if you want to fit a switch pack on your car, or replace it, or repaint them, that's how to do that. And that's what the standard steering wheel looks like in its barest form. So you might pick up a sport one here that looks like this without the switches, and you can swap all your switches over onto that.